Today we're looking at the EVL 34 from PSE. Welcome back to Mike's Archery's YouTube, and we are here checking out the EVO 34 from PSE for 2021. And some of the specs on this brand new bow, the speeds are coming in at 338 to 340, just kind of depends on which cam you get on this bow. Axle to axle, obviously the longer version for this year at 34 inches, axle to axle. And the factory spec weight, they are saying is at 4.7. We threw it on the scale and it's really close. So it's 4.8 is what we had. We did pull off rubber nodes out of the riser and things, and it was still right there at 4.8. I'd say if you strip the grip, maybe the string stop, you might even come in under 4.7. So they're right on spec weight with this bow out of the box. Now the draw length options, depending on which cam you get on this bow, and there are two cam options. You can get the EC cam if you need a little longer draw length, and that's going to take you all the way from 26 out to 31.5 on the top end. And if you want the SE cam, if you need that shorter draw length, that'll get you down to a 24.5 inch draw length on the bottom and topping out at 30 inches there on the longest draw setting. And that's going to allow you to get better speeds. If you're that guy holding right there at 29 or 30 inches, you may want to look at doing an SE cam to get a little more out of that cam on the top end. Now the brace height on this bow is coming in at 6 3/4 inches, which is a little higher brace height than the other bows, so giving it a little more stable platform with that longer axle to axle, higher brace height. It's going to be a more forgiving bow to shoot and a very comfortable bow to shoot. Now the Evolve cam hasn't really changed over the last several years. You're still able to get that 80 to 90% let off option and just being able to adjust it right there on the end of that rotating module. So none of that has changed. Some of the other options on the bow are 50 to 80 pounds. So you are able to get this bow at the bottom end of 50 pounds if you're needing a lighter weight. And they're also offering it in 80 pound on the top end for some of you guys who are wanting to get those higher weights, faster speeds, and be able to shoot heavier arrows and still keep that weight and speed up. You can get an 80 pound option, and it does come with a 65 pound option in between there if that's something that you're needing. Now PSE has always had a lot of turns to be able to take that bow weight down. You still get 10 limb turns out of this bow, so you can crank that bow. If you get a top weight, you can crank it down quite a bit to be able to get a lower weight and quite a bit of adjustability out of this. Now some of the things that they did change for this year, this is the widest platform that PSE has had. They have widened that limb stance out for this year, giving a better stable platform for that Evolve cam. It's at 3 inches, so they've not had a bow that is that wide between the limbs, and I think it's a good look to it and also a more stable platform. So just overall a good move from PSE. Some of the other things that they changed, they did the precision bus tuning built into those cables now. So you're going to have the ability with that to be able to yoke tune a little easier with this bow. And it also allows a pre-drilled hole there in that tuning system that you can hook in with your limb-driven rest, top or bottom if you want to. You can hook right into there rather than tying off on the limb. Now some of the other things that they did, they changed up the integrated sling this year. In the past it's hooked into the riser. This year it's going to hook into the limb barrels where the limb bolt goes through. It's just going to give you a quick easy press button there to be able to hook that sling into it. That does not come with the bow. It is an added accessory that you can pick up if it's something that you want on this bow. Now one of the other things that they changed that's brand new for this year is they went to an integrated rest system. Now some of the other manufacturers have had that for a couple years or in the past. PSE has jumped on board with that integrated dovetail on the back of the riser. It's going to allow you to hook up a QAD rest directly onto that riser, bringing it more center to the shelf, eliminating some of that space out here on the outside of the riser so you're not worried about your quiver getting in closer. It's just going to move everything centered to that bow and balance things out a little better. And also you're not going to have the issue of being able to torque that rest, with only a single mounting bolt hole. That rest is not going to be able to move if you do the integrated system bolted right to the back. Now one of the other things they changed this year was the grip, and they went to a rubberized grip, which has a really great feel, really nice warm to the touch. If you're wanting that more of a hunting grip, if you like a fuller grip, then that rubber grip is something you're going to want to leave on there. But they did leave it as something that you can pop off there with just a couple screws. You can take that bow right back down to the bare metal with that thin grip that's going to eliminate some torque in your shot and just give that more target feel to that grip if that's something you like better. It's nice to have the option as PSE gave you here. Now they continue on with the roller guard that they've had for several years, still working very well, no chatter, very smooth through the draw cycle with that. They've got your 3 options of sight mounting. They've still got all those holes there in the front so you can move that sight bracket up and down if necessary to 3 different positions. One of the other things, they've adjusted that stabilizer hole. Now they were one of the first last year to give you 2 mounting positions. They've still got on the front a top and a bottom mounting position for the stabilizer hole. So if you need to get that weight a little lower to balance out the way you want it, maybe take a little more vibration out of this setup and just balance it out the way you want it, you've got that option, top or bottom. And they've left the threaded holes in the back if you also want to add possibly some weights back there for whatever reason. That's still there for you to add on as well. Now the bow does come in 7 colors, and PSE's had several color options over the last several years. You've got 2 solid color options, black as you see here or the tan, and then 5 different camo options, still staying with that mossy oak country option. You got Realtree, Kryptek, you got a First Light Fusion in there, and Kuiu Verde. So a ton of great camo patterns there. If it's something you want to mix and match and do on this bow, you certainly can, and customize it out the way that you want. Now price point on this bow is coming in at $1,100 as it has in the past, and it's right there with all your other flagship model bows. And being a top end bow, it's worth every penny, and it's just a great shooting bow. From here, we're going to step outside and shoot this over the chronograph as we always do, give you kind of the spec rating on the speed, the feel of the bow, as well as the noise level of the bow. As usual, we'll be shooting this bow on 70 pounds at 29-inch draw length with a 400 grain arrow at 90% let off. So let's step outside and see how this thing does. We've stepped outside with the new PSE EVO, the EVO EVL 34. And this is the longer axle-to-axle version of this bow for this year. We shot the 32s here a few weeks back, and we finally got some 34s in you to look at. And we'll go take a shot out of this bow and just kind of see what the speeds are and what the sound ratings are on it. As usual, we are shooting this bow at 29-inch draw length with a 400 grain arrow at 70 pounds and 90% let off. So that kind of gives you a baseline of where we like to stay to get these numbers. So let's see what this does. .290. So on the speed rating, that's where we've been hovering. We've shot it several times. We've been right there at 290, 1 foot a second, one direction or the other every time we've shot it. So pretty decent speeds on a 34 axle-to-axle bow, and putting up pretty decent numbers. Now as far as the noise level on this bow, we're getting 96.9, which you know, not the quietest bow we've shot, but certainly not the loudest. And it does, you can hear it. It's a fairly quiet bow. It's right there toward the bottom of most of the bows we've shot. And now the feel on this bow just is a fantastic feel. That evolve cam never disappoints. And when you put it on that longer 34 axle-to-axle, the rollover and the draw curve on this bow, you could probably shoot an extra 5, maybe even 10 pounds, because that 70 pounds does not feel like 70 pounds. And when it drops into that hold weight at 90%, there's no jump off the back end of that cam. It really feels good getting there and really smooth dropping into it. It's probably even a little smoother than the 32, which would be expected with the longer axle-to-axle, but just a great feeling draw curve in that bow. Now, the after shot on it, it has definitely got to be one of the deadest bows PSE has put out. Now, their bows have always been fairly dead over the last few years, but whatever they keep changing with this wider platform and things is just a great feel. The after shot on this bow sits dead in the hand. It may even have a little less kick than what the 32 did, and the 32 didn't really have much, but just overall a fantastic feeling bow here in the 34. I like a longer axle-to-axle bow, so if you're looking for something to be a little smoother, a little longer, a little more forgiving in the shot, take a look at the new EVO EVL 34 for 2021 from PSE. Give us a call and we'll get you set up.